We are going to talk about the Fyre Festival because everybody's talking about it because of the documentaries.
Yes, two of them. Hulu and Netflix.
So, this whole thing...
It's really funny.
I've watched it twice now. Once because you said to watch it,
yes.
And everybody we work with was talking about how this crazy thing, and I was like, I'm gonna watch it because it's nothing that I would have ever on my own without people saying, hey, go watch this. I would have never watched it. It's not like it. I just didn't see it on Netflix and go, oh, that looks interesting to me. But everybody was talking about it, so I watched it and I was like,
it's really funny.
These morons.
It's really funny. I when I first saw it, I was like, I don't want to watch a documentary about a music festival. I don't care. I don't care. Yeah. I probably wouldn't watch one on Woodstock. I don't care. And then I found out what it was about, and I vaguely remember like kind of people talking about this,
like in real time. Do you really?
Like maybe like 2 years ago, like when it was happening. When
this wasn't that long ago.
When it like fell apart.
Yeah,
and everyone really kind of relished in it falling apart because then everything came out that we're going to discuss about what a complete D-bag this guy is, and. It just got. I had so many problems. I've watched the Netflix one twice and the Hulu one once. Man. The Netflix one twice just because I wanted to have it fresh in my mind when we talked about it. But and I'm glad I did because there was stuff in there that I missed.
Yeah.
Or just didn't remember.
Yeah.
But there's so much shit in this. I had so many questions during all of it. Like, I mean, basic kind of questions. Like, why does anyone care if Ja Rule is involved in anything?
And I guess like this is. I'm not the kind of person that stays up on pop culture. I don't know anything about Ja Rule. If you played a Ja Rule song when I had walked into your house, I wouldn't have known that it was a Ja Rule song.
He was really. I wouldn't. The only reason I would know if it was him, he has a pretty unique voice, like it's real raspy. Okay. Like he has a. It's very distinct.
So he raps the same way. Is he a rapper?
Yeah, he's a rapper. He's a rapper. But even when it's a very like coarse and raspy tone. It just. I would probably be able to identify it just because of that.
Yeah.
But also, he was pretty popular, I think, in the late 90s and early 2000s.
Yeah.
And then I don't know where he was or why he came back, and I certainly don't know why. And this was so geared toward, like, younger people, too. I didn't even know why younger people would even know who he is.
When was he? So he was...
Let me check.
Well, while you're doing that, the only thing I know about Ja Rule is that guy's got his shirt off a lot. I mean, he basically, I don't know how often he's clothed. I mean, he spends the majority of that documentary shirtless.
Yeah, and good for him. Because literally the only positive that came out of this was you got to be shirtless.
So I have in front of me basically a loose timeline of how I understand the events of this thing, this whole concept to disaster flows.
Wow, it is a fucking disaster.
So what do you got there about Ja Rule?
Honestly, the only thing that really comes up now when you Google it is just people just keep giving him shit about the Fyre Festival.
Oh yeah, and he deserves it.
I agree.
And actually, we'll get to it, but when shit starts to unravel, that motherfucker's nowhere to be found.
He is not in. He is not in the second half of this documentary.
No, he's in
he's in the promotional fun part,
which is,
and maybe he started realizing this is going to fall apart. I don't know, but he is not present in the second half of this documentary.
And do you blame him? So actually, this is the perfect segue into this. So, okay, Fyre. So at the end of the day, tell everybody that's listening that hasn't watched this documentary, who doesn't have thousands of dollars to just throw away, tell them what the Fyre app was.
So the Fyre, the app itself initially was just, I think, to give someone an avenue where they can actually, for lack of a better term, rent a celebrity.
Yeah.
Like you can just be like, hey, I really want, let's just say Ja Rule to rap at my kid's bar mitzvah. I don't know. Something like that, but apparently that's what they wanted to create. Which actually I don't think is a bad idea because there are people that would actually do this. And I guess the Fyre Festival became a way to promote the app.
Yeah.
That's what it was. So it was to promote the app and really get the name out there about the app.
Here's what I have. So there was a web summit, and they were at this web summit. So Billy McFarland, who is a major player in this,
Visionary. He's been called They would not stop calling that guy a visionary.
I know.
I couldn't understand.
He's way over complimented in life, in my opinion. This guy's just nothing but, in my opinion, having watched this, he's just a piece of shit tool. He really is.
He's a con man. He's a scam artist. That's all.
So Billy McFarland, who was the co-founder of Fyre and the Magnesis thing, which I really don't want to get into that. That's a whole different clusterfuck of a thing, in my opinion.
It's another thing that I didn't understand it either. I didn't understand why anyone wanted it. I really didn't.
Because you and I can't relate to these people.
True.
That's why. So this Billy McFarland, he's going to come up a lot in this discussion because he's just a fucking moron.
Pudgy loser. That's just
yes. So
God.
he and Ja Rule get together, and
It's still funny. Hearing you say Ja Rule makes me laugh because outside of this, you never would have said Ja Rule, and you've already said it like 5 times, and you're going to say it more, and it's funny every time.
Do you always say the whole Ja Rule? Is that his name, or is it?
I don't
just
think I know him well enough to shorten it to
Rule?
Ja.
Hey Ja.
Hey Ja.
Oh, do you think he'd respond if somebody was like, "Hey Ja"?
Probably.
What about Hey Rule? That's what I'd go by, Rule. Hey Roscoe.
Roscoe.
Is our official mascot.
Put it down here. He's going to probably sit down.
So they had been working on this.
Who'd been working on it?
Okay, so
Ja Rule?
no. Some app developers.
Yeah,
that
they've been working on the
for Fyre.
Yes.
So for Billy. So
Long
they had
time too. They've been
working on it for 3 to 5 months at
Yeah.
the point where they decided. They introduced it at this web summit.
yeah.
And that's when they started thinking about ways to promote this thing. And still, I have no problem with any of this plan so far. If you're building this grand app that is going to allow you to book celebrities, what? If you're building this grand app that's going to allow you to book celebrities, you got to put some time and effort into thinking about how you're going to promote and push people to download and use this app. So getting the name out there, it makes perfect sense to me.
No, I agree, and I think actually I'm guessing this guy's going to come up too. I don't remember his name. The ponytail yoga guy.
Oh, well, I can tell you what his name is. He's the fuck is his name? I know this dude's name. Oh, Mark Weinstein.
I want to say it was him that actually suggested the festival thing.
It wasn't.
It was not.
No. It was one of the app developers.
The guy with the beard.
M. David Lowe.
The guy with the
Yeah.
beard. Yeah.
So he was the creative director, and he was the one who had the idea of, hey, we should do a music festival.
He threw some ideas out, and one of them was the festival, and that's the one that the Billy McFarland really latched onto.
And it's a great idea.
I think it's a good idea.
It's
We have to be very clear. These aren't bad ideas. The execution and the shadiness is the thing that's funny and so fucked up.
And actually, as we progress through this, once it gets past the brilliant marketing of this thing, because I'm going to say it's fucking brilliant, the way they marketed this thing.
It is.
After that, it's a shit show. And it's not everybody that was involved, and we'll go through it. But so they have this idea for an app. They're working on it. Now they want to promote it. So Billy then goes to Andy King. Is that his last name?
Yeah, and I remember
Andy King.
The older guy.
Yeah. He's an event producer.
Yes.
And Billy tells him, "Hey, we've got this idea for a music festival. I bought an island in the Bahamas." we're laughing already
because we already know it's
right. Exactly.
It's a fucking lie.
Yeah, he just lied to this guy.
You and I were joking around about this. He lied about buying an island.
Yes.
Buying an island. Like, I've told lies before, but they're just like, yeah, the check's in the mail. Or, no, I haven't talked to him. Not, I bought an island.
Right.
That's a huge fucking lie. And apparently, no one checked up on this.
And this is to me one of the first times. Apparently, they found this island. He and Ja Rule were literally just flying around in this airplane in the Bahamas and went, "Look, there's a runway over there. Let's land our fucking plane." And they did. I didn't know you could do that.
Super dangerous. Yeah.
I didn't know you could do that. Just
apparently you can't if you're Ja Rule.
So they're flying around the Bahamas. They see this runway. They land it, and it turns out that they landed on this island that was once Norman's Norman's Cay, I think it's called.
Norman
Cay.
Yeah.
That was once owned by Pablo Escobar, and he tells this dude who's been mentoring him that he bought it.
Also, they really push the Pablo Escobar thing a lot.
Yeah.
I'm not also sure why. But again, that's not the kind of thing that impresses me.
I know why.
Because young kids are dumb.
Because young kids are dumb. And I'm sorry, I'm going to look through some notes here. There's an actual quote from Billy. Maybe this isn't the best time to bring this up, but
I think I even know what you're going to say, but go ahead, because I wrote it down too.
We aren't selling a pipe dream to your average loser, your average guy in middle America. They were that was what he was saying. He's like, we're selling, you get to live like Pablo Escobar for 3 to 5 days.
Yeah, that's exactly the quote.
Yeah.
Which comes back to my other question outside of who gives a shit if Ja Rule is involved in something? Why would that gravitate anyone? Why does anyone want to live like Pablo Escobar?
I couldn't figure that out.
I didn't get that.
Like, is it just because like you
the fascination with
living that fast and loose? I guess,
man. I don't know.
So,
but I didn't get that one either.
So you're right. That was the first lie. So what they do at this point is they and we actually follow Fuck Jerry on our Instagram.
Yeah.
A lot of funny stuff comes up on there. So they reach out to Fuck Jerry and they tell them, hey, we have an island and we're going to have a party for 10,000 people in April of next year. Yeah. Which I think at this point is less than 6 months away. Because...
yeah, it was.
So, yes, it is. Because November and December is when they had... they started shooting the all the scenes at this island with the supermodels. End of November into December.
Can you imagine going into that meeting? Like, imagine you're the Fuck Jerry guys. Yeah. And in walks in... that whole dude, Andy, the older guy.
I don't know that he was part of that yet.
Oh, okay.
I don't think he's part of any of it yet.
Then in walks in this weird duo, Ja Rule and this real tall, pudgy guy that smiles way too much. He just cannot stop fucking smiling. No. And I don't know why. That really bothered me. It's really weird to me. He's constantly smiling. Even when he's talking or not talking, he's smiling. Or he's on the cusp of a full smile. And I don't understand. He looks slow.
I think it's weird because once you watch it and you realize what a piece of shit this dude is.
Yeah. You're like, what were you smiling about, sir?
Exactly. Like I'm watching this guy smile, and he doesn't have a nice smile, by the way.
No, he doesn't. He's a creepy smile.
So he just...
I don't know. Maybe he's smiling the whole time. He's like, I can't believe no one's caught me yet.
You know what else he's always doing all the time? Giant cigars.
And you're right. And that's where I think a lot of the stuff comes from, because he's a young guy. He's like 25 now, I think.
Oh, really?
26, 27, maybe. I don't know. But he's young. He's under 30. He's image obsessed.
Yes.
He is image obsessed. That's why I know we're not going to get into it. That credit card, because it's a credit card for millennials. Basically, it's a black Amex card for people who don't have money.
And it's made of metal.
It's an image thing.
Yeah.
His cigar thing, that's an image thing. Those dumb shirts he was wearing, that's an image thing. That deep V-neck that people wear is like he wore. It's an image thing. Hanging out with Ja Rule somehow is an image thing. And I don't fucking get that one. But that's what he is. And I think he knew, and this is the smart part, he knew that people that were like him, that around his age, were the exact same. That's why people bought this shit and didn't know what the hell it was. Right. People were blind. They said they sold out these tickets like in record time. 95% of these tickets were sold out. And no one knew what the fuck it was.
Yeah.
I don't even think the lineup had been announced yet.
No, as a matter of fact, we're going to get to that. So
sorry, but
no, it's okay. So they have. So what they do is, it's 6 months out from when they're planning on putting this festival, and everybody in the industry is like, you need at minimum a year to pull this off.
Their guy said that too.
Yeah,
everyone in the industry and their own planner said
right.
Minimum 12 months to get this thing going.
And there are people that, and they talk about this in the documentary. There are people that put on festival or music events for a living, and they're basically like, "Fuck! If these guys figure out how to do this in 6 months, this is gonna be crazy." And I still have no problem with their timeline. I've never put on a music festival.
If it can be done, do it in a weekend.
Absolutely.
I don't give a shit.
America is built on pushing the envelope.
Yeah.
So I have no problem with these guys still at this point.
I think those guys would have had a problem with it because it's again, just some young guy comes out of nowhere, never done anything. If he's able to pull that off, I think it was more of a jealousy thing.
Oh, I totally
People are
agree.
scoffing at them like, oh, well, I do this for a living. And then this guy comes in and does it in half the time and it's super successful and everyone's already talking about it. I think it was a jealousy thing. And I know they talked about at the end. People were really relishing in the failure of this festival.
I was relishing in the failure of this.
I was relishing in it just because of, and I think they even said it eventually, and I'm sure we'll talk about it. There was one part in the documentary when the storm, whatever. I know I'm talking ahead, but they said at least they won't get away with it. I was relishing in that because now this guy for the rest of his life and Ja Rule for the rest of his life is going to be tied to this.
So what happens in late November and December? They get. I remember they said like of 10 of the top supermodels in the world to come to this stupid island that this guy does not own. I still don't understand how everybody's on this island. I can't even get on a beach on Lake Erie at sometimes.
I don't get it either. I do not understand.
I don't get it.
But so again, obviously it had to do with bribes or something like that. It had to be. I think that's how he did. That's how I think he did a lot of these things, was just bribing people. I think that's the only way that he can.
I'm not fucking joking when I say there are places on Lake Erie that you can go and you can't go 20 yards further because somebody's put a fence out into the lake so you can't get on their part of the beach.
I think the only reason that is because maybe it's the Bahamas and just like there's not much of an infrastructure, I think, outside of the resorts, because you can't just land a plane anywhere you want in the States.
No, you're right, but they sure as fuck did
there. But that's what they did.
Yeah, I don't get it.
Yeah, I didn't get that part either.
So what they do is they have all these models come out and they literally party for days.
Yeah.
And they
just take photos of themselves on the beach,
videotaping, just shooting everything, and they're having this amazing time.
Take pictures and tag us, Fyre Festival.
And that's exactly where I was going. So what they do at that point, they say, okay, we have a launch day, and it was December 12th, 2016. And that's when, all at the exact same time, they were just going to bombard social media with pictures of these gorgeous women in this gorgeous location having a blast with Ja Rule and some fat white dude.
I'm going to try to get you to say Ja Rule as much as I can. It's funny when you say it. I don't know why. I don't know why. It's funny when you say it.
Ja Rule.
You say it like almost like Sir Ja Rule. Like you say it very properly. Like you really enunciate. You hit everything. There's only 2 syllables, and you really drive them.
Ja Rule.
Ja Rule.
Yeah, I'm assuming that's how you want to say it. So they have this literally a blitzkrieg of media on December 12th, and they bombard social media again, blitzkrieg, with pictures and all kinds of things. #Fyre Festival.
And we talked about a couple of the not the influencers, but like the models. Some of these models, like one was Bella Hadid, I believe is her name. She has 30 million Instagram followers. Mm-hmm. Kendall Jenner has like almost 100 million.
100 million people.
She has one third of our country is checking out what she does every day. Spoiler alert: it's pictures of herself. So I mean, that's it. But that's what happens, and because all those people, it's brilliant.
It's brilliant.
He knows that everyone that. And the Hulu documentary kind of touched on this a little bit. I know you didn't see that one, but they touched on like millennials themselves. They're super easy to influence, and can be very image obsessed. Not all, of course. Like, I mean, there's a whole bunch of people that are 20, 23, 25 that would be like, no fucking way am I going to drop a couple $1,000s to do this because Ja Rule said so.
But those that would.
And did. And he knew that.
Did. Yeah.
He knew that.
And
there were a lot of millennials just like him that were dying to have the perfect Instagram photo of them at the Fyre Festival.
And
which is what it all boils down to.
Sorry, I cut you off there. We've never hidden from our. We don't love millennials.
I don't love the stereotypical millennials. I know plenty of young people that are just hardworking, good people. But
that's a good point.
But the millennials that these guys were clearly targeting
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't like them.
And so when you send out something that is marketed as well as they put together these videos and that bright orange tile that we use, which is really fucking eye-catching.
And and that's what they said. They're like, you can do this, but if you just post like a blank orange screen, someone's gonna be like, what the fuck is that? And that's how they got people to look at it.
Yeah.
Pretty smart.
So it's literally at this point where things start.
All the smart stuff stopped.
Yeah. And
they stopped making good decisions.
It is literally at this point where things start to get sketchy. Because
very sketchy.
There are people that work for Fyre Media that have no idea.
Because they're just working on the app.
Exactly.
They're not on the island.
Yeah.
They're working on the app. They have nothing to do with the festival itself. They're just working on the app, and even the people that are working on promoting the festival, they don't really know everything that's going on. The only people that do, and they even alluded to this, that there were some people that would be stateside, then go to the Bahamas, stateside, go to the Bahamas. They're like, as it drug on, those people wanted to be stateside more than anything. They didn't want it. And you're like, why do you not want to be working your job in the Bahamas? They're like, you should be there. It's a fucking shit show. Like, this is not going to end well. I mean, that they knew it.
So they're 4, maybe 5 months out from the launch of this festival.
Yeah.
People who work for this guy are already confused.
Yes, very.
Because they're just like, I don't understand. Who are we marketing this toward? Because we're showing models gallivanting around this, this island in the Bahamas. I don't understand who we're reaching out to.
Yeah. They're pushing models on the beach on Pablo Escobar's island at the insistence of a chubby white dude in Ja Rule. When you break it down like that, it sounds pretty fucking stupid.
It's absurd.
It's absolutely absurd. And still, people bought this. They still didn't know what was happening.
Here, and we'll get to this. I'm going to defend the consumer a little bit. And by the way, it's hard for me to do because you and I have talked about this. I won't buy concert tickets to see bands that I really like anymore because they're $100 for a fucking seat.
You and I just talked about this.
Yeah.
So Patrick and I are big Tool Perfect Circle fans. Perfect Circle was going to be in Nashville. It was the closest fucking city. Yep. We're in Cleveland. You don't have to Google Maps it, guys. It's a hike. But he and I are just like, but we were pretty convinced, like, these guys don't tour very often. This is going to be our last chance. Later, we found out they have a new album coming out. And they're touring on it.
We didn't know that.
But at the time, we didn't know that.
Yeah.
But still, that was going to be $100 for the ticket, maybe like $150 for the plane ticket, and like maybe like $100 for like a hotel or something like that. Because we're only going to be there one day. Less than $500, probably more because of the drinking. But say around $500, and I was like, "Fuck, man! All right." I was like, I want to figure this out. I'm going to need a couple of months. I'm going to start. I had to save months in advance to make sure that didn't interrupt my bill schedule. I mean, and it was stressful, man.
And I was pressuring you, Joe. We got to buy tickets, man.
Yeah,
we got to buy tickets.
You were the worst. And I'm just like, now take that, include me leaving the country,
right,
and tack on $5,000-6,000 more dollars.
I'm actually glad you
Who the fuck did this?
I'm glad you brought that up because this is where they start to, now they're starting to sell ticket packages to people. And I want to read off to you the options that
that's right.
That you had. Okay, there was the rustic tent, which apparently, I've never been to Coachella. Apparently they do this at Coachella where they give you like a gorgeous tent filled like really... nice accommodations. Yeah. I think there's ceiling fans and shit in them.
Cool.
And you get to overlook, water. I don't know anything about it, but so they had the rustic tent, which was supposed to be like that, was drawn up like that. So it
turned out to be very rustic. So that part was
sure
actually
as fuck
true.
Did.
Yeah.
It got you a round trip flight from Miami to which they were calling Fyre K. Now keep in mind, this guy didn't own the goddamn island.
No.
So he's still calling it his island, calling it Fyre K. 2 tickets to the Fyre Festival, 2 twin beds, upgrades available. As we find out, upgrades out the ass because you didn't get shit.
It can only be an upgrade.
That's right.
When you finally get there, everything is so low graded that you can only upgrade.
The next option was you could get a private home. They had villa
villas,
packages
yeah.
for, exactly, for 500 guests. You could get a private yacht, which was 10 tickets to the Fyre Festival. Slept 10. You had a full crew, so you had a chef on board and everything. It was $250,000.
Who does that in a weekend? Who drops $250,000 in a weekend? Who can do that?
I don't know how long it's taken me to make $250,000 in my working life.
Yeah, I don't think I've reached it yet.
Well, yeah, I'm sure you have.
I spent it. I spent it as I made it.
So then here's
I've
another
done
one.
shit like homes and food.
So right there, you could do the tent, you could do a private home, or you could do a private yacht, right?
Okay.
Influencers were all told.
Oh, those were free, right?
That's correct. They got housing. They got housing for free. They were told that per post they'd get a 3-person villa on the beach.
Per post.
Per post. And by the way, the 3-person villa
They
didn't exist.
Fucking great, man. This dude was selling stuff that didn't exist.
Yes! There were no 3-people villa per post.
See, now, this is now, again, I'm struggling with the people that were actually working this event for a couple of reasons. Obviously, now everyone comes out and says, I was totally against
Don't go too deep on this.
Sure, I'm. But my problem is that why is that not? Why didn't someone be like, hey, I just went to our website. It looks great. The things you just promised don't exist.
Because now,
What's the plan?
I'm going to play devil's advocate.
Okay.
Keep in mind, what we've been talking about so far is the possibility of pulling this off.
Yes.
Right? Now, the people who were working for this guy had no reason to believe it couldn't be done yet at this point.
Okay, and I guess, okay, maybe. For me, and I understand sometimes when you're doing stuff like this, no, I don't understand. I've never done this. But there probably have to be a lot of like arrangements and things that are just kind of off the cuff, whatever. But, and I guess maybe as we get deeper into it, it's really where I start having a problem. Like, really? No one knew that some sketchy shit was going on here? And I know everyone's like, yeah, I definitely knew it, and I was voicing my opinion and my concerns. I'm like, I don't know, man. I have trouble with that part. I really do.
I understand why. And by the way, you should, right? You should have a pessimistic viewpoint when somebody has this aggressive a timeline, right?
Yeah, and is aggressively selling something that doesn't exist.
But still, consider the fact that there was no reason to not believe that this couldn't be done.
And that guy, again, he was a very, very good salesman.
Yes.
They're like, I don't know how this guy just keeps coming up with $1 million here, $3 million here, $2 million. He just keeps coming up with money.
And also consider that he's
Ja Rule was involved.
Well, yeah.
So that's what kind of would have put me at
because
ease.
he put his shirt on a tree stump somewhere and was like, let's get this going.
Yeah, fire.
It's
gonna be fire.
With his sunglasses, bald head, and shirtless.
Yeah. Also, he wore the sunglasses inside.
You also have to remember that this Billy guy, very clearly was keeping information silent.
Yes.
He was not sharing.
He was primarily in charge of the finances in terms of where it came from and how it was being spent.
And he wasn't telling people that were doing all the work, all the development. They weren't.
That's what I mean, and that's the other thing too.
Yeah.
Like that guy Andy, he was a guy that was defending Billy throughout this entire thing. Not defending his actions, but like he was the one that was kind of rallying everyone together, saying, "Look, man, this kid's a visionary.
Yep.
Trust him.
And by the way, Andy hasn't gotten pulled into this yet, but that's a guy that I actually do feel bad for. Like there are a handful of people like Yoga Dude. I know you disagree. I feel bad for that guy.
No. I actually. Remember I mentioned that I watched it twice because I missed some stuff.
Right.
I did miss something from Yoga Guy. I'm not going to use his name. I don't really care. But he said that they were withholding 70% of his fee of his wasn't going to be paid until the festival day. He couldn't bail,
And
they were holding that over his head.
That's exactly right.
I didn't realize that.
Yeah.
So sorry, Yoga Guy.
And that's part of this too. Like all these things, like let's say that guy's fee was $100,000 because I have no idea what it was, but let's say it was. That meant $70,000 was being held until that festival kicked off.
If it was $70, I'd be like, I'm gonna ride this out. I'm not a dude that could just scoff at money. I'm just not.
So we just went through the ticket packages, and this is great to me. Within 48 hours, 95% of all the tickets were sold.
Sold.
Within 48 hours. That's crazy.
People are just buying stuff.
What?
Spending a lot of money,
Wait, what did
and
you
they
say?
still don't know what it is. What the fuck, man?
They don't know who's playing there.
No.
They don't know if
At this point, at least per the documentary, I still don't think the lineup has been released yet.
It hasn't been. I know that.
What are they buying, dude?
They haven't even asked the guy to start getting the lineup yet at this point. And people are dropping money like crazy to potentially
See
hang
a
out
band or an act that they may or may not like.
I was going with supermodels. You might run into a supermodel.
Ugh. There's no fucking way that was going to happen.
I know. So now that they've announced the ticket packages, they've sold 95% of the tickets that are available.
Jesus Christ.
They start looking at accommodations specifically for restrooms. Now, there's this guy named Keith who's a goddamn hero, in my opinion.
He was the guy that really stood out to me in this.
Yeah, he was the first.
He wasn't in it very long. No. They ousted this fucker right away. But I remember he seemed like a really nice guy. And he was one of the first guys like, well, first of all, guys, you literally got to go to Home Depot and buy like 1,000 toilets.
And that's exactly, he was the first person who was vocally saying, oh, I just want to make mention that the island that you've quote unquote bought can't fit 10,000 people. Just want you to know that.
There is literally not enough land to have all the things that you say that you want.
You haven't even sold all the tickets. Yeah. You still don't have
5% of the tickets have not been sold.
And you don't have enough room.
those tickets sell will not be virtual attendees. They're going to also show up, and there's no room for them either. So he's like, all right, well, then I think he came up with the plan to have a lot of people sleeping on this cruise ship.
So I'm actually about to get into that. So he says to them, look, the land that you quote unquote own isn't big enough to accommodate the people that you've already got coming.
The tents, everything. It's just
Number two, there's not enough space for people, let alone restrooms for all these people. So he comes up with this plan where, and I think
it's a really good plan.
It's
in light of their situation.
In light of the situation,
best plan. It was a good plan.
So we're about to meet another asshole of this thing, and his name is Grant.
Oh, I fucking hated Grant.
Grant. This guy's, he kept calling himself the chief marketing officer.
He did it in quotes.
Grant Margolin.
You remember when he introduced himself? He's like, I am the chief. Why are you putting that in quotations, dummy?
Here's my note on this guy. He's the Fyre marketing director, and he called himself the chief marketing officer.
Yes,
doing air quotes.
He did it in air quotes, and I don't know why.
And my note is, I hate this dude.
I hated that guy immediately.
So
always on his phone, him and fucking Billy. This is the main. They were always on their phones. They were always walking around the beach in what a really expensive designer button-down shirt with like 3 buttons done. Yeah. Like, dudes, you guys do not have the bodies for this.
So Keith's
button up.
Keith's telling me. I know they were like
they were not in good shape.
Yeah,
I don't do that, and I kind of work out.
So at this point, Keith is telling him, hey, look, you don't have enough room for people. You don't have enough room for accommodations. What we need to do is get a couple of cruise ships, have them docked offshore, and boat people back and forth. And by the way, he acknowledges this is not a great plan.
Getting drunk people on one boat onto another boat is not a good plan. But it's all he had.
That's exactly right.
He's like, now the reason I'm presenting you with this very shitty plan is because our current shitty plan won't work because, again, as I mentioned, there isn't enough land for the people that are coming here. Literally, you can't fit anyone on this island anymore.
So Grant, the fucking dick, looks at him and laughs and says, we're not doing the cruise ship thing. We're not doing it. And Keith's just looking at him like,
what the fuck are you gonna do?
Right. And he's like, no, we're not kidding. We're not doing the cruise ship thing.
And Grant was, it was actually an uncomfortable silence, and I wasn't even involved.
And Keith,
It was hard to watch.
I think his reaction was like, okay.
Better invest in a lot of bunk beds.
Yeah. Okay.
Like, how are we going to do this? And then what? He's like in the next scene, he's out.
So, thank you. So do you remember when is this show supposed to go? I'm pop quizzing you right now.
April?
End of April.
Yeah.
Keith gets fired February, March. So he gets fired the end of February into March.
Yeah.
And he makes mention there were a couple other people that get let go
it wasn't uncommon. There was kind of a rotating door with some of these people because they didn't get into specifics, but I'm assuming they were telling him the same thing. This is not feasible. And the company slogan that they kept falling back on was, we are a solutions-based company, no negativity. Which, again, should have been a red flag for people.
All right, so now I want to take a minute here and put this all into perspective.
Okay, please don't leave Ja Rule out of this.
It's the beginning of March.
Okay.
The festival is at the end of April. They have yet to still book anybody, build accommodations. Nothing outside of a promotional video has been done.
Yeah. And they sold 95% of the tickets.
Yeah.
Because everyone is stupid.
Yeah, and the accommodations for what they've sold don't exist yet.
Do not exist.
Some of them are never going to exist.
Yes, as we will find out later.
So at this point, it's 45 days away from the festival. They finally hire the people to
The positive people.
What?
The solution-based positive people.
No, that's not what I was going to say.
Oh, okay.
You're just gonna keep
we're
guessing?
we're a solutions-based company. And, I don't want negative people here.
Actually, ironically, so they finally hire the people who are going to
Start
do
actually
all the
building.
Yeah, they're going to build the stage. They're going to take care of all the technical stuff.
I just thought of something. I'm so sorry.
Okay.
The buying of the island thing.
Uh-huh.
He was still boasting that to people,
Yes.
correct? Now, the one thing that did come up prior to this is they actually did have to move islands a few times, and they ended up landing
we're
on
not there
one.
yet.
We're not there yet? Okay,
No.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
So, but that is important because now he's finally hired the contractors to build the stage and do all the technical stuff, and they only have 45 days to get this done. Now, you just said it. They don't even end up on this island. They don't even know that yet. So these guys get hired to build the stage and do all this technical work. The guy says, he goes, 45 days, it's possible.
I was hoping for some reason, I don't know why, I was hoping he was going to say, it's possible, but all things are possible with the good Lord. I wanted to get religious for some reason.
Also, at this point, is the first time, 45 days ago, it's the first time that they sit down and build a budget for this festival.
Yeah. Hey, maybe we should discuss what we have to spend.
This is shocking I have a business degree. I've never even considered doing anything this marginally insane.
No.
They haven't built a budget for 5 months.
For a 10,000 person festival.
The budget comes out to $38 million.
Oh, that's right. The guy in the purple with the scarf said it was 38, yeah.
$38 million.
Jesus Christ.
And this is where they finally start talking about pulling Andy King into it, because he's like, a thing of this magnitude should take 12 months to do.
Yeah.
You're down to 45 days.
And you just built your budget.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a lot to take in.
So this is what you just mentioned 3 minutes ago, and this is relevant. So they're within 60 days of this thing getting kicked off. So probably under 45 at this point, and they get kicked off the island.
Yes.
Do you know why? Tell
Yes,
everybody
I
why
do.
they get kicked off.
They get kicked off the island because the owner of the island, the actual owner of the island, does not want Pablo Escobar's name being used to promote it because he really wants to change the image. Because him,
Can't blame
like
him.
us, don't understand why somebody wants to be Pablo Escobar.
Right.
Shit didn't end well for him. So this is kind of where my problem was. It's why didn't anyone say, "Hey, Billy, how are we getting kicked off the island that you own? I thought you owned this thing. How are you getting kicked out of your island?"
Yeah. Exactly.
Someone explain that to me.
Less than 50 days to go.
Yep.
They find out, hey, the island that you thought all along, we gave you one. It's like goddamn Gremlins. You get a couple simple rules, and you fuck that shit up.
He's like, do not mention Pablo Escobar's name when you promote it. And the guy's like, the very first promotion we did, we said,
Pablo
used to be
Escobar.
owned by Pablo Escobar. The guy's like, fuck you, get off the island. And that was it.
And that was it. They were done.
They were done.
So
And yet no one asked how Billy got kicked off the island he owned.
So at this point, they know they can't go on that island.
Mm-hmm.
They have less than 50 days. They look at the next island, can't do it. Look at the next island, can't do it. Look at the next island, can't do it. Finally get to the main island where all the resorts are, and they can build it there.
Yeah. Which essentially, from the pictures that they were showing, just looked like a big parking lot.
It was
It
awful.
wasn't even a bait. It wasn't a beach.
No.
And that's what they've been promoting.
Exactly.
They've been promoting a beach.
They've been
the good news is, I think they could fit everyone on the island, though.
They've been promoting this private island experience, and
The
then
basic. It was what? Just north of one of the resorts. there.
Exuma.
Yeah.
Oh, Sandals
Resort.
where Michael
So it
Scott and Jan went.
Exactly. So you know it's going to work. So yeah, it wasn't a remote island anymore.
Yeah.
It was a place that everyone goes.
Oh, but they took care of that. Remember?
Yes, they.
These people are assholes.
They just created a map. They altered an existing map to make it look like
it was
a
surrounded
private
by
island.
water.
Oh my god!
Remember? You watched Arrested Development. Do you remember when it was in season 1, and Buster? They were making fun of the fact that Buster was taking those cartography classes.
Oh yeah.
And they're trying to escape, and he thought the blue was
He thought
land.
the blue was land. Buster, the one who thought the blue on the map was land, is in charge of the company. That's the best. That's what it was. That's exactly what it was.
So these fucking assholes get this part of this large island where all kinds of people are. They decide to Photoshop out the fact
Photoshop it out that it's actually not an island.
and it turns out that the festival they had booked on the island that Billy owned and got kicked off of, so weird, was the exact same weekend
As a really popular regatta.
Yeah, as a
Like
regatta.
where the population of the island doubles.
Yeah.
There's no hotels, so they did it at a terrible time there too.
So it's one thing to book it at the exact same time if you're in a completely different island.
Agreed.
But you've now landed on the
You're
island.
on the same island now.
Yeah.
I'm not even sure it's an island anymore. I know you're saying it is. Like you were pitching, that this was going to be a remote, exotic desert island, and basically the concert was in Massachusetts.
And also keep in mind that this festival had a contract to go for 5 years.
5 years, yeah. Didn't make it.
Nope. Didn't even make it 5 days.
Nope.
So at this point, now they realize they have oversold their accommodations. They're on an island that there isn't going to be a room for those they have already.
Well, I think now that part actually is gone because they actually will have room for them.
No. Because now they literally realize they have to start cutting out influencers.
Good point.
Because there are no homes
that's
for them.
right.
Remember, they promised them.
And
per
Yoga Guy
post.
even sent them saying, like, you got to cut like 300 people
Yeah.
right now. Like, you can't do this.
So
Because they don't have accommodations. Like, there's nowhere for these people to live.
yeah, so this guy Mark Musters starts telling them that they need to cut paying guests because there were no places to stay.
That's the Yoga Guy, right?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, because he said he sent an email that basically said, I know you're
I
worried.
got his last name wrong. I feel bad about that, but whatever.
We don't know.
Well, I do.
You do.
I feel bad for it. I fucked
Oh,
up
I
his
thought
name.
you felt bad because you
No,
fucked up his name.
I
Who
don't
cares?
know.
Okay. Got Ja Rule right. But he's the one.
Oh, you know what? I'm wrong. The guy with the scarf. The guy with the scarf is Mark Musters.
Okay.
He's the creative director. He's the one who backs up the, hey, you have people who paid. There isn't any place for them to be.
Yeah.
You need to call them and tell them they can't come.
Yeah. And that's, I think, yeah. And eventually, when it got really, really bad, and I don't know if you're getting to this part either, that's when Yoga Guy sent that email saying, I know you're concerned about the backlash of maybe canceling some people, but let me paint you a picture.
Right, yeah.
Let me paint you a picture of some more potential backlash. You grab 500 people, you take them to a deserted island, you drop them off there with nowhere to stay, no food, and no way of getting back. I mean, that's a dangerous situation.
Yeah.
That's a much bigger risk that you're taking right there.
You have invited people to a quote-unquote remote island, not quite the one they thought they were going to stay on. Doesn't matter because they already bought their tickets anyway. Yeah. You have invited them, and you've put them in a bad,
very bad,
dangerous situation.
Yeah, they have nowhere to go. Also, it's cashless, so they didn't have any cash.
Yeah.
Are we talking about that yet?
No, we haven't.
Okay.
We'll get to that.
But I didn't think about that.
Yeah.
So it's also planned for this to be cashless.
Yeah.
So how the fuck are they going to get back?
These people have no
They would
means.
literally be stuck there.
Yeah. Can you imagine?
Literally would be stuck there.
Would you tolerate that if somebody was like, hey, Joe, we're going to drop you off on this deserted island. I have no shelter for you. I have no food for you. I have zero accommodations for you. But, hey, man, you're in the Bahamas.
No.
Fuck no.
No.
Of course not.
I may not do that if I had my wallet with me. Right. I'm like, I don't know what's it going to cost. I'm not going to do that. I'm just not. Thank God I'm not dumb as like these people, and they're just like, yeah, I'll do that.
So this is one of my favorite parts of this whole thing. So there's this guy. His name is Calvin Wells. He's a financier, basically, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, redhead, red hair. I mean, he's not, he doesn't have a
he's
red
not a
head.
devil. Yeah.
Yes, he's not. He's not.
He's not a devil.
He starts looking at this and notices that there are artists.
Oh yeah, that he works with.
That are listed as headliners. He's reaching out to their managers, going, "Hey,
this thing seems weird.
Yeah, this is supposed to happen in real short order. That's kind of odd." And they reply with, "Yeah, it's odd to us because they're paying us double what
Our
we would
normal booking, yeah.
typically get, and they haven't given us a dime yet."
Yeah.
So this Calvin Wells decides that he's going to create a Twitter account.
Fire fraud. Is that it?
Yeah, something like that. It was fire fraud. You're right. So he wants to expose the fraud to the public. Now it's March. This concert is happening next month. And this guy who's just a financier has already
already knows it's bullshit.
Yeah, he's like, this is a phony.
He very quickly put together this was not bullshit.
Yeah.
He looked into it for like 10 minutes. Why did no one else see this?
So now we're 26 days out
Yeah.
at this point.
By the way, I do want to comment at you. This is the most prep work we've ever done for a podcast, and you are killing it right now.
Oh, yeah, thank
This
you.
timeline is impressive. You actually took more care into this than in your actual job.
Joe, you can't let people hear that.
Oh, yeah.
That is so not true.
Just kidding. You're an amazing employee.
So we're
I just can't believe how much prep we did. You and I watched this documentary on this a total of 4 times because I did it 3. Oh, no, 5.
5
you did
times.
it twice.
Twice, yeah.
We watched something 5 times.
Yeah.
You have an outline of notes. I have notes. They're not very good. I literally just wrote Keith, foreign guy. Because he's what stuck out in me.
Keith's a goddamn hero.
He's the best, man. Love him. I didn't want that to go unnoticed, that how much prep work you've actually done for this.
I appreciate that. And actually, Keith is a fucking hero in this, and nothing he said. He and his his wife.
He said he and his wife tried to sleep in a tent on 9. He's like, it's fucking horrible. He's like, it's fucking really bad.
He went that far.
It's so loud. Mosquitoes like crazy. He's like, it's a fucking miserable experience.
So now they're 26 days out. They're still building the site. They have hundreds of day laborers that are working around the clock, and they still don't have enough people.
They keep bringing more.
Yeah, they don't have enough laborers to get the work done.
They said at one point they had 200 people just doing that.
No running water, no electricity, no accommodations still.
No common sense. How the fuck did no one say, hey, where are these people going to plug in their phones? They're millennials. They can't be without their fucking phones.
Right.
Food, water, where are they going to pee? Someone answer me.
This is also...
They're like, nah, man, stay positive.
This is also the first time that they go to actual Fyre employees and say there's no money for payroll.
They did. Oh, that's right. Because one of them actually made a joke. Like a joke around the office was, "Hey, were you paid this week?" And wasn't in the right amount. And one guy's like, "Well, I was paid. It was a bag of money, though." That should be a red flag for you.
And they're also still putting things up on the website for accommodations that don't exist because he's so cash deprived that he's trying to sell things that don't exist. So they put up. They have this idea for
a cabana, right?
That's exactly right. So they put up
I'm
this
so glad
idea.
I watched this right before we did this. I actually remember all this and that's why I did it. So it's fresh in my mind. I got done watching it 30 minutes before you showed up.
So they're so cash deprived. They're like, let's say we have. Literally, they were like, let's just say we have a cabana
for 50 grand.
Put it up for 50 grand and see if anybody takes it.
And I think at that point, someone in the room was actually like, we don't have a cabana.
Yeah.
He's like, yeah, be positive.
So, at this point, it's clearly a shit show.
Yeah.
Right? People who are Fyre employees, people who are laborers, people who are contracted employees are starting to realize, hey, I'm not getting fucking paid. There's a problem. We don't have all the stuff you told all these people that had bought tickets that you have. So somebody puts up this website, and I fucking love this, called FyreK.com. And it's very clearly somebody who's on the inside.
In the inner circle. Yeah. They're posting actual photos.
They're feeding information to this website, exposing them.
Like, what they promised, what is actual. I forgot about that.
Yeah.
I forgot. Yeah, because I was... The Fyre Fraud and the Fyre K were two separate sites trying to expose what's actually happening. The Fyre Fraud one didn't really get a lot of traction.
No.
It doesn't feel like. But the Fyre K one, and they actually said, this is clearly somebody who's in the inner circle.
Yes. Because they were feeding information in real time.
They actually never said who it was either.
I know.
And you know what? I think someone had actually said they were trying to extort Billy, but not for money. They were extorting him, saying, I'll take this down, sure, but you have to start giving people the real information.
And that's Andy King told Billy. So this what I was about to say does happen, but they actually get a meeting of people together. Billy calls this meeting with all the inner circle people and says, whichever one of you is feeding this information to this website, I'm going to fucking sue your ass.
I'm going to go after you hard.
Yeah. So,
me and Ja Rule. Which, by the way, at this point, Ja Rule is not in the documentary. He is not in the documentary anymore.
He's gone.
I don't know if it's because everyone got tired of hearing him fucking talk because he just says dumb shit all the time. Or maybe he was actually smart enough to be like, I don't know if this is going to work.
You don't even hear about him at this point in the documentary.
The last 45 minutes of the documentary, you only hear about him one time. And we'll talk about that eventually when we get to it. But...
So Andy King, who this dude is a stand-up motherfucker in my opinion.
I think so too. Him and Yoga Guy and Keith, I think, are all good guys.
Yeah, there's a handful. There's a handful.
Oh,
all the app developers have no problem with them.
Same thing.
I mean, so Andy King tells him, "Look, dude, you have somebody who is here telling somebody who owns this website what's actually fucking happening.
Sending them actual real-time information about things that are actually happening.
This is your chance. This is your chance.
Get it out there, man. Let them know that you got to set expectations now. That's what he
exactly
said.
Right.
Set expectations. Don't make people think they're staying in the Taj Mahal when they're staying in a fucking log cabin.
This is your chance to come fucking clean. Yes. And he doesn't fucking do it.
Still doesn't do it.
17 days to go. he has every opportunity to kind of reset the whole fucking thing, and he doesn't fucking do it. Just crazy.
It's amazing. It really, really is.
So this thing is supposed to go up on 4/28. On April 22nd, again, this is another great example of how cash-strapped these people are. They start sending emails to all of the guests saying, "Hey, I've noticed you didn't put money on your Fyre wristband.
I love this.
So weird. We need you to put money on your Fyre wristband. This is going to be a cashless experience with zero infrastructure to do so.
Which
no Wi-Fi.
The wire transfer thing is completely fucked. They can't do it.
Yeah,
they can't do it. They don't have the services to actually do that. I know you didn't see the Hulu one. This actually did come up in the Hulu one, because in the Hulu one they actually did interview Billy McFarland, and they straight up asked him, "Hey, at this point of like the festival setup, you're very strapped for cash, and all of a sudden this band thing comes out. And you were encouraging people to put on $300 per day. So you got to think, how many people were going to
$3,000 for the entire weekend? They were encouraging them to put
everyone
on
to put 3,000. And how many people were did they?
Well, 10,000 was
10,
the original estimation.
So 10,000 times 3,000. Math.
I'm just looking
a lot
at
of
you.
money. Yeah.
Dude.
We are college graduates, and we're holding phones.
I'm not holding a phone, you lying
just put it
son
down,
of a
you
bitch.
piece of shit.
$3 million.
$30 million.
$30 million. That's what I meant.
$3 million? You are dumb. That was actually my first guess too.
No.
And they were just like, was that a way? Were you going to use those funds to pay off other stuff? And he just kind of put his head down. He's like, I have no comment on that. So clearly, that's what he was doing.
Clearly,
yeah.
They had raised $800,000 by duping these dumb fucking millennial kids into going.
You guys are so dumb.
They spent $3,000 to $4,000 to go, and then
Fuck them. They're stupid.
Then they put another $3,000 on a wristband. But they gained another $800,000. Dude, I want to be perfectly clear. They are 6 days away from this festival kicking off,
it's fucking
and
amazing.
he's still trying to raise money to get it built.
It's amazing. It's truly amazing.
At this point, they also realize that they don't have enough tents for all the people who have bought tickets for tents. There are 350 people that are going to show up. You already talked about this.
With nowhere to stay.
No place to stay.
Also, I think we talked about it a little bit. What did they actually use for tents?
Oh, they were like FEMA tents.
The hurricane relief tents. The leftover hurricane relief tents.
Yeah,
they weren't luxury
these
tents.
Coachella luxury.
My tent is nicer. I have a nicer tent in my house. I have a nicer tent in my house than what these morons were promised. And it didn't cost me a couple grand. It was like $70.
And the people who had homes that they were basically Airbnb-ing for these other people who got the private homes are starting to say, you haven't paid me, I'm not leaving. So now they have those homes that people are supposed to stay in. The people that own those homes are bailing.
Yeah.
So they obviously know they don't have enough.
Also, still no Ja Rule.
No, that
He's not
motherfucker,
there. He's gone.
He's hiding.
I can't wait for when we talk about when he reemerges.
So at this point, they don't have enough accommodations for people who are showing up. Everybody realizes that there's not enough money. And people who are involved in putting the festival together aren't being paid at all.
No, they're not.
And they're holding, you mentioned this earlier, they're holding money over their heads.
And I guess that's the, like, what do you do? Like,
I know.
what can you do? So there are workers that aren't being paid that are actually on site. The app people, the developers, the promoters, the media. There are people just all over the place not getting paid.
Yeah.
But having not been in that spot, thank God I've worked extensively for 2 companies that were at least paying me every period. Like, I don't know what you do there. I'm actually amazed a lot of people didn't just walk away. But I guess I don't know.
They fired the caterer for the entire...
Like 2 weeks in advance.
Yeah, 2 weeks in advance. They fired the fucking people who were going to feed everybody. That
Andy guy was like, yeah, Billy fired him over the phone.
Yeah.
Just right there.
He had 2 weeks to find somebody to feed 10,000 people.
Yeah. And actually, that guy, yoga guy, actually said maybe one of the reasons that this thing just kept on trucking forward is because we actually kept pulling miracles out of our ass.
And that's exactly
because that
right.
Andy guy, apparently is very good at his job, actually did find somebody.
Yeah.
And I think that they were like, that may have been what just kept fueling Billy into not seeing what literally everyone else saw, was that his workers just kept pulling miracles out of their asses, allowing the thing to continue a little bit.
And that's the shocking part of it. Like, when you really think about how you keep bailing some asshole out of their problems, that asshole's just going to keep getting into problems.
Yeah.
Because you keep bailing them out. You keep finding ways to make it work.
It's the same thing of like if you have a shitty kid and you keep bailing your kid out of problems, he's not going to not be a shitty kid.
So,
and he smiles like a moron all the time.
So it's 4 days to go until this festival. 4 days. And now guests are starting to ask questions about logistics. Like, hey, where is this flight going from? Where's it coming to?
Legit questions.
Well, yeah.
Very, very legit questions.
So that asshole Grant decides to use Fuck Jerry, who is basically just a fucking, like, they're like, we're going to promote your shit on Instagram. Yeah. He's now using them as customer service and directing all these legitimate questions to some fucking Instagram marketing organization.
Yeah, it's amazing.
So Grant notices that they're getting pummeled by negative comments from people who aren't having their questions answered.
Like, utterly destroyed. Like, I mean,
yes.
Like, the comments are actually even things like, why the hell are you guys not answering me? I need to know these things. This is terrible.
So what does Grant tell Fuck Jerry to do, Joe?
Delete any negative comments. Delete any negative comments. Also, they actually created a filter where they were filtering out certain things like festival. Like, it would automatically delete. Like,
oh my God.
Festival, arrival time, plane, schedule. Like, anything that they weren't going to be able to answer, they were filtering out. How anyone even got to this location is fucking amazing to me. But I mean, that's what they were doing. They were deleting negative anything that was negative. Because again, I think the whole theme, and I mentioned it earlier on, it's image obsessed. It's all about the image. You have to portray a positive image.
So they're 4 days out.
Jesus
and
Christ.
Literally at this point, everybody is talking every single solitary day about canceling this festival, right? Nobody's shown up yet. No. The problem that Billy has, and the reason he can't do it, is what? So he has to have this festival to pay for everything that he's already spent.
The financiers, the investors, he has to pay them. Yep. Actually, I think it came out later. I think it was in like the contract. They were going to be paid like within a certain amount of time.
Yeah.
All the investors are going to be paid back with, I imagine, interest. I assume that's what investing is. You don't just loan out the same amount of money and get the same amount back. That's not investing. That's a loan.
They have contracts with these investors saying, hey, we're going to pay you in X days of this festival being complete. So without this festival being kicked off, he can't pay his investors. Nope. He can't pay the people who've already done all this work, etc. So he's at this point, he has no choice but to see this through. And everybody's telling him to stop it.
And I think at this point, maybe my opinion is he's going to see this through because he's going to be like, I got to see how I can get money out of this. Because I think he knew it was probably going to be a shit show. I don't think he's a liar. He's a con artist. He's a scammer for sure. I don't think he's a fucking moron, though. He had to have known this wasn't going to work. But I think his whole thing was, I at least got to see this thing through to the end, maybe salvage some money out of this. I really think that's what it is.
The day before the festival was supposed to start, Fuck Jerry shows up. 4 guys from Fuck Jerry, and there are no rental cars.
Yeah.
Like, the day before, there's still warning signs saying, this can't work. 4 guys can't get a rental car.
Yeah.
Let alone how many thousands of people who are about to show up.
Yeah, I assume they were all going to get in the same fucking car, too. They just needed one car. And they were just kind of joking on the side of the road, like, all right, not a great start to the festival.
Yeah.
But you know what? They probably didn't. I'm sure they were probably just joking around. These are guys that have made their living off a site called Fuck Jerry.
They still had no idea.
Yeah, they didn't know
what was actually
They were
happening.
media. They were promoted.
Yeah.
They hadn't been on the island. They didn't know what was going on. And they've been given no inclination that they should worry.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So this is when Andy King drops the greatest analogy. So for anybody who hasn't seen this yet, Andy King has this analogy about Woodstock, and I thought it was fucking brilliant.
It's spot on.
Because it puts everything into perspective. Everyone knows what Woodstock is.
Everybody does.
Everyone,
if you ask anyone about Woodstock, they're like, fucking awesome music
yes,
festival. That's what they say.
Anybody who is our age who has parents, they either went to Woodstock, knew somebody who went to Woodstock,
or lived during the time. I mean,
exactly.
They were well aware of it.
Everyone knows everything about Woodstock.
And Woodstock was probably, I mean, God, when you see the pictures, there had to be hundreds of thousands, not millions of people there. I mean, it was.
I don't even know the number.
But when you see photos of like Woodstock, of bands playing at Woodstock, it is a sea of people.
It was a guy's goddamn farm.
For as far as the eye can see, you just see people. And I don't mean people scattered around. I mean people shoulder to fucking shoulder. Yep. It turned out to be, as I'm sure we have a lot of young listeners, It just turned out to be like this amazing, amazing festival that people still talk about. It will always talk about.
Got to be the greatest music festival of all time.
Hands down.
Has to be.
Not those dumb, the 2 times that we tried to replicate it and it turned into a fucking nightmare.
Right. So Andy King brings up this analogy that's fucking amazing. He's like, Woodstock, everyone knows what it is. Everyone knows how great it was. Nobody talks about how there weren't restrooms. Nobody talks about the tens of thousands of cars
Damn
that
near
were...
no water.
Yeah, there were no provisions. There weren't places for people to sleep.
No.
It was a muddy mess.
All the people that OD'd,
drug abuse, rape, like
the people whose cars were caught on highways for literally days.
Yeah,
because there are hundreds of thousands of cars.
So this guy,
they don't talk about, or you know what? Also, the damage. That place was fucking destroyed.
That guy's farm was destroyed.
That guy's farm was destroyed.
Yeah. So, he's talking about that. So, and he's worked with Billy long enough, and he says it several times. He's like, I believed in this kid because I've seen him pull off shit.
He's a visionary.
Yeah. So he's even telling people, he's like, this can still work. This can still work.
Yeah.
So the night before that people are supposed to show up.
Of course.
What happens?
Fucking monsoon. You know what's funny? Yoga guy, he's the one that's telling the story. He's like, so we're out on the balcony of this place, and we're just kind of looking out. All of a sudden, it just starts pouring rain. He's like, and I just start laughing uncontrollably. We all do, because we're like, of course it's going to pour rain and destroy any work we actually have gotten done. He's just like, it's the perfect ending to the shit sandwich that we've been cooking for fucking 3 months. That's just what it is. And then he did say one thing, which I really, really liked, and that's why I'm on Yoga Guy's team. He didn't say it, I don't think. I think someone else said it, but he was just like, someone said to him, well, at least they won't get away with it.
Yeah.
Now, there's no way they can get away with it now.
Yeah.
Because at this point, they're like, we know there's shady shit going on here, and when we're deleting negative comments, we're saying things that aren't true, we're promoting things that aren't there. Now there's definitely no way they're going to get away with being this way.
So
destroys any work that they actually did get done. Tents were destroyed, everything. Which actually kind of makes me worry about the hurricane tents if they couldn't make it through the storm. But go ahead.
They were already short for places for people to stay. They weren't done building all the tents, which meant when it rained like a motherfucker that night, all the tents that still needed to be put up, all the mattresses and pillows and everything were soaked and unusable.
Gone.
So they were already...
You're basically starting over. You are fucking starting over. Too goddamn funny.
Then that's when the dumbass millennials start showing up the next fucking morning.
And they mention this, and it's kind of funny when you think about it. They're like, of all the things that went wrong, everything went wrong. You would think at least maybe these flights would be delayed. There'd be a problem. They're like, nope. It was the most crisp flight schedule you've ever seen in your life. Everyone showed up to the second on time.
Yeah. Dude, people show up. The campsite isn't done, so they reroute everybody away from the campsite so they can't even fucking see what's happening to buy these other people time to keep building. stuff that we already know is unusable because
Yeah.
it's sopping wet. These people get sent to this poor lady's restaurant for 6 hours.
I feel so bad for that woman.
I do too, dude. For 6 hours, these kids, these stupid kids, these dumb white
Funneling
rich
tequila
kids,
down their fucking gullets.
Yep.
But because they still don't know what's going on. And you know what? At that point, I still wouldn't have either. I'm like, oh, cool, you're going to take me to a bar to party before this thing starts? Awesome.
Right. So this, and by the way, this is only a third of the paying guests.
Yeah. Most of them didn't make it.
That's right.
Most people didn't make it because at this point, they had to shut everything down. But
So
still.
there are no lights. There's no place for everybody to stay. A third of the entire guests, all the tents are packed. You're probably in tents with complete strangers at this point.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, probably.
The acts are canceling. This is day one. All the acts cancel.
Yeah.
People who are still supposed to show up get turned the fuck around and say,
At
forget
Miami,
it.
there's like, don't.
Yep.
The people that are still at the airport that are landing are being told to just stay there, don't come because it's not happening.
Yeah.
So I guess fortunately, a lot of the people didn't actually make it to the island. But unfortunately,
2/3 of them didn't. Luckily.
But unfortunately, what's that? So that'd be what, about 3,000 people did.
Yeah.
Well, unfortunately for them.
Billy straight up disappears. Gone.
Yeah, that was, it turned into a running joke. They're like, has anyone seen Billy?
Yeah, he was
And
gone.
where is Ja Rule?
That dude fucking left. That Andy King had
He said he snuck away.
Yeah, he had
His
to-
people were fucking rioting.
Yeah, people were getting
Like,
ready
you
to
work here?
we
We're about
want
to
our
fuck
money.
you up. Yeah.
And you can't blame them, dude.
No, you can't. Well, kind of.
So clearly a disaster, all the way up till the point where people were showing up, and you had to send them home.
Yeah. It's fucking amazing.
That's terrible.
It's fucking amazing. That it's just, I get it, I do, but it's amazing to me. It really is. I can't. The whole thing is amazing to me.
Yeah, I mean it's terrible to think about all the people.
Here comes Roscoe. You can probably hear him because he has the feet of Edward Scissorhands. Gotta clip his nails. Hey,
All
buddy.
the people who were taken advantage of, all the people who use their personal finances to charge so that this festival could go off. They're stuck
a lot of them
holding
did.
the bag.
A lot of them did.
People who weren't going to get paid. People who still haven't been paid.
It's fucked up. It really is. And you think the story ends there?
Yeah, why don't you bring this thing home?
You think the story ends there? So everyone goes back to the States. The thing's a pile of shit. The first thing I do want to talk about as we're trying to wrap this up is the reemergence of Ja Rule.
Oh yeah.
We mentioned he's really not in the second half of the Netflix documentary at all.
He wants no part of it.
He really isn't. My guess is it's because he's just promoting. No one's going to Ja Rule and asking fucking finance questions. So they all get into a conference room and obviously are discussing everything that's just gone down. And Ja Rule is just, I don't know, rallying the troops or whatever. Because I'm sure at this point,
Want to call it that.
I'm sure at this point he's already caught a significant amount of shit.
Yeah.
And he's saying like, how are we going to salvage this? How are we going to salvage this? How are we going to spin this? And everyone's like, are you out of your fucking mind?
We just frauded people.
And that's what happened. Someone's like, okay, because Ja Rule's like, no one died, no one got hurt, and the guy's like, the guy who actually, it's funny he says this because he's the guy who actually this was his idea originally. He says, yeah, glad no one died. We did defraud 10,000 people though.
Right.
That's fraud.
Right.
And Ja Rule's like, nah, I wouldn't say fraud. False advertising. Fucking asshole.
Can't fucking
And the guy's
believe
like,
it.
all right.
Can't fucking believe it.
Obviously, the company's not doing well. And that's actually the end of the Ja Rule era, at least for this documentary. So then this is also when Billy goes to his employees, and he's like, hey, guys, I'm not laying anybody off, but I don't have any money to pay you. So you're welcome to hang out. And then this
keep working if you want.
No. I would never lay you guys off. What am I, an asshole?
Right.
You guys can work here as long as you want.
I'm just not
I
gonna pay
am not
you.
going to pay you though, because I have no money. And this one woman's like, So instead of laying us off where we could actually collect unemployment benefits, we're all just going to hang out. And he's like, I don't really know how this affects unemployment benefits. I'm like, well, yeah, you do. She just told you. So now you're thinking, that's the end of the story, right? It's not. This pudgy bitch.
This fucking asshole.
This fucking asshole.
Finds another way to
Finds
defraud
another way
people.
to fuck with her. I got to post a picture of this dude. I don't know. I can't believe I haven't done that yet.
He's a tool.
He's a fucking asshole. So anyway, he discovers while he's on bail, because he was arrested because it also came out
$300,000 bail, by the way.
which he posted like the same day, no problem. Can't pay his employees, but he's got $300,000 to get out of fucking jail.
Yeah.
What a piece of shit.
Yeah.
But either way, he obviously got arrested because it also came out the way that he was able to get investors to invest is because he led them astray. He lied.
Yeah.
He basically created false financial documents. Like the funniest one out of all of them was that he said he had $2.5 million worth of Facebook shares. He had $1,500. I have $1,500.
So people think he can liquidate. Hey, worst case scenario,
I got money to back this up, man.
He can liquidate
Don't
his
worry about
Facebook
it.
shares.
Everything's fine.
Yeah.
So all of those funds, and that's why he got arrested because it was a crime. I don't know what it's called. Financial crimes. Financial crimes.
Just a broad brush.
Sure. Yeah. So then, so he got arrested, bail $300,000 same day. Everyone else is laid off. Not laid off. Everyone else can hang out, just not get paid.
Working no money.
So everyone's like, okay. So there was like a rumor that Billy was living in his parents' basement. That's not true.
He was living in a fucking.
He was living in this fucking amazing penthouse, and even someone that came over even asked him, not asked him probably not, but was just like, how the fuck are you affording to live like this? And honestly, it's never really pinpointed how he is. My guess is he just has scams going all the time. This isn't it, and this is kind of where you arrive at that is because it turns out he took all the people from the Fyre Festival email chain or email distro and started sending them false emails saying, "Hey man, I got tickets to Beyonce. Hey, I got tickets to the Masters," and people were
dumb enough.
They were scammed into doing this. I think that's obviously incredibly shitty. Because you're just like, when you're on bail, obviously that's when you really should fucking be cool. He decides to just do another scam in the middle of it to make more money.
He gets arrested immediately.
Immediately arrested. We did find out that he apparently scammed like 100 people out of like a couple $100,000. And this is kind of back to where I don't care. Because if you just got scammed at the Fyre Festival and then you go home, I know that you didn't know that it was Billy scamming you, but then you get caught up in an email scam and throw some money at that too. Fuck yourself.
Yeah, you're dumb.
You are, and I've joked around about to you, go to your bank, take out the rest of your money, put it in an envelope, and email it to Nigeria. Because eventually that's going to get fleeced from you. You're just too fucking stupid to have money.
Right.
If you get duped by both of these, you're a fucking moron. Also, you have too much money.
Yeah, I'm going to be perfectly honest. I don't know how much more there is to say about this. I mean,
he eventually got arrested.
Yeah.
He's going to and he is in jail now for I think 6 years.
6 years, and he has to stay there the whole time.
No,
there's no way they can give him the
there's too much. There's too much focus on him. They know that as soon as he gets out, he's going to start doing it again.
Yeah, he's just
because someone like that doesn't know how else to do it. I mean, it's a fact.
I do love the idea though that this guy who was living large off of ripping people off is going to be forced to live in a studio apartment in Austin Town.
See, I don't know why he is. I don't. Why are you picking on Austin Town?
Because I lived in Austin Town.
I don't think that he is. I think they're still I think he's still doing scams now.
He might be.
I mean, how else do you completely defraud everybody? You blow $38 million. You post bail for $300,000. And you think the entire world is suing you, and yet you're still living in this luxury New York apartment during your bail.
Because you're such a dumbass. Well,
either way. It's not going to work out.
He's never gonna see a dime of anything he makes because of the class action lawsuit.
Well, and also, some of those people actually won.
Yeah, there was that one guy who sued him.
They haven't been paid.
Yeah, sued him.
No money.
Sued him outside of the class action lawsuit. Was awarded $5 million.
It hasn't been paid. He's not going to get it.
Yep.
He's wasted his time. He's not going to get it.
Wasted his money for attorneys. All right. Well, what else? What is the lesson learned here?
that we really need to. I think the overall thing that I learned from this is we can't blame Ja Rule for this.
No,
Clearly
not.
Anything, quite frankly, if he attaches himself to something else, I'm on board.
Right. Icon. He's got Icon.
He does have Icon.
Yeah. Well, ICONN. Do you want to?
I do want to do a couple announcements.
Yes, please.
I want to say thank you to our second VIP member, Sarah, for becoming the second person to follow us on all platforms: Instagram, SoundCloud, YouTube, and iTunes.
That's real, by the way. That's not fake.
That is real. No, that is real. VIP
You don't
access
get
is real.
anything
You
for
don't- not a
VIP
goddamn
access,
thing, no. She's the second person to achieve that status. Shout out to Christina for listening. We also want to do a shout out to our friend Brittany, who is actually about to be deployed to Afghanistan, which we are probably going to do a post about her too. But good luck to her. Be safe.
Absolutely.
And thank you for all your service. Also, we just hired a new head of marketing. I know she's really shy, so I don't want to say her name on air. But also, she's also done a really good job.
Nice hire. Well done.
So far, a nice hire.
Do you want to tell everybody how we're going to change the spelling of our podcast?
I think it's I think we have to. I think
Yeah.
we have a big announcement. We're going to change.
Wait. I just want to make.
Why don't you do
No.
it? It was your idea, and it's an amazing idea.
No. I just want to make a really big deal about this.
should.
This is huge. We're
Promote
gonna
the shit out of
We're
it.
gonna take all the stickers and everything that we had done before. We're gonna rip them down. We can't have them out because they'll be spelled wrong.
Yep.
We're gonna change the spelling of Guiltless to GY.
Yep.
In honor of Fyre.
Yes.
So we'll just be GYLT.
Yes.
Guiltless.
I don't see, and eventually, I assume Kendall Jenner is actually going to come over too. She's going to help us
Yeah.
promote it
With a blue tile.
with a blue tile.
Yeah.
Because who uses orange tiles anymore?
That's so 2 years ago.
So killed it, man. Just killed it.
All right. Well, I think that's all. I don't have any more energy for this asshole and all these assholes that followed this asshole and all these assholes who were duped by this asshole.
So many assholes.
Just fucking everywhere. Millennials, get your goddamn shit together.
Don't believe everything that's online. And why were you duped by something that's involved with Ja Rule? You didn't even know when Ja Rule was popular. You weren't even born yet.
There's the one guy who made the comment. He's like, Blink 182 cancels and says that we can't put on the show we want to put on. He's like, I've never been to a Blink 182 show.
I wouldn't have
know
known. That was the other thing. Blink 182.
I know,
Who
man.
cares?
Of that entire lineup, I didn't know a single name outside of Blink 182.
So I know that Migos was on. I don't know if Migos, because this was like 2 years ago. I don't know if Migos was as popular as they are now. They're
don't
super
know
popular
them.
now.
I don't know them.
You don't know any. You don't know Ja Rule.
That's absolutely true.
fuck it, who cares?
I even thought Blink 182 had broken up as a band, and I didn't care when that
I think
happened.
they've done it like 10 times. I don't really care. I wouldn't